Hey, what is up everyone? Killerian here bringing you another video, and this time what this is going to be is it's going to be basically how to, you've hit 65, you're starting to get gear, and you want to be basically the best you can be. This video is going to be about masterworking your gear and getting the appropriate rollable stats across your weapon, across your chest piece, across your jewelry, basically the whole deal. So, first thing, guys, I want to address masterworking. A lot of players, you're newer to the game, you inspect players, you see, oh, they're cool armor, plus 12, and they have this little ribbon on them and everything like that. What that means is that it's masterworked. What masterworking allows is it allows you to go from plus 9 all the way up to plus 12. So you see the plus 10, you see the plus 11, you see the plus 12. Those are all unlocked because you can masterwork your item. Okay. So the way masterworking works is you have these scrolls. You have these scrolls. Blessed Enigmatic Scroll, Master Enigmatic Scroll. And what you go about doing is you right click. Here, let me see. Make sure my screen isn't terribly done. So you have this piece of armor, right? Let's say that my chest piece is not masterworked. I click on this right here. It pulls up this little screen, and then I would click Enigmatic Reset. This would shroud the item in an enigma, which you then use a intricate identification scroll you obtain off of your general merchants, which, let's see, where is one? General merchants. You can find these at any town, and an intricate identification scroll costs about 50 gold. You go under your general goods, you go under the last page, intricate identification scroll. So you're going to continually use these Master Enigmatic Scrolls or Blessed Enigmatic Scrolls. I highly recommend Blessed to shroud your item and then identify it with that until it masterworks. Your Blessed Enigmatic Scroll is a 10% chance of success. Your Master Enigmatic Scroll is roughly a 3% chance of success. Usually what I recommend, guys, is just use Blessed Enigmatics because it can get insanely expensive if your luck is really bad, in my opinion. So it's best just to go with the Blessed Enigmatic Scrolls. Now, once you've masterworked your piece of gear, okay? Once you've masterworked your chest piece, once you've masterworked your item that you're working with, at this point, you need to get the appropriate stats. Okay, so if you look here, not here. If you look here on jewelry or on your weapon, on your chest piece, all of these things, you see the little circular, I guess like little arrows pointing like a recycle image on next to some of your stats. This means that is rerollable. Alright. If you are level 65 and if you have any kind of gear that has rollable stats, you want to move it towards having basically the appropriate rolls, guys. The appropriate rolls for all your gear, there's PvP rolls, there's PvE rolls, there's healer rolls, tank rolls, DPS rolls. I wanted to kind of consolidate what these rolls are that kind of respectively that you want to look for, and if you're a newer player, you want to have the necessary rolls on your chest piece, on your gloves, on your weapon, everything along those lines. First, guys, we'll go over your weapon. Okay, this is for DPS classes, guys. So if you look here, these are your notable weapon rolls. Attack speed, flat damage increase, behind damage increase, so for both players and monsters, crit rate, cooldown reduction, crit power, which means actually increasing the damage your crits do, enraged PvE damage, and threat. Obviously threat is more something if you're a tank. So if you're a DPS class in PvP, alright, PvP, let me get this to where you can actually see it a little bit more efficient. I tried to put more effort into this video, guys. Hopefully you do appreciate it. It's obviously not perfect, but the necessary PvP roles. These, if you are any DPS class, this is a Lancer, Berserker, Warrior, Slayer, whatever the hell you want to do, you have to have at least 2 of these. That is your flat PvP damage, or just flat damage, and attack speed. These 2 stats are pretty much necessary until you get to the extremely high levels where you're going to theory craft and really come into your own playstyle. But if you're trying to learn the game, this is pretty much a foolproof method or a foolproof roles that you could use for PvP. Flat PvP damage, attack speed, and back damage. Your Deviant Armor only has 3 roles, and these are what they should be. For PvE, what you're going to be having, what you're going to be having for a DPS class is flat damage, once again, just another flat damage, enraged boss monster damage, and behind damage if you are a DPS. Threat if you're a tank. Obviously you're not going to be behind the boss as a tank, so just roll with threat if you are a tank. Okay. If you are a healer, let me actually do this real quick. If you are a healer, they were just online. Let me see if they have the appropriate roles. I hope they do. This is what you want to do, guys. The 3 stats that you need, you have to have, are healing increase, attack speed, and cooldown reduction. This applies to both PvE and PvP. So no matter which staff that you have to have those 3 skills. The last one, if you have a 4th role, this is obviously only if you have Renegade or Tensis or basically the best gear you can get a replenishment of MP when you use a skill. But for the most part, guys, you need healing increase, attack speed, and cooldown reduction if you are a priest or mystic. Moving on, we're going to do armor. Let's see. Armor rolls. What you're going to be finding with armor rolls is your flat damage reduction, max HP, frontal damage, enraged boss damage, reflect damage, knockdown damage reduction, and healing every 5 seconds. Healing a percentage of your health every 5 seconds. These are all good roles. However, if you are a newer player, once again, there are specific roles that you have to use. If you only have 3 roles, I expect you to be using these. First, we'll do PvP again. Necessary PvP roles is going to be max HP, flat damage reduction, and frontal damage reduction. Okay, if you look right here, what do I have? Max HP, frontal damage reduction, and standard, just flat damage reduction. And then I have the healing over time. You know, in this situation, that 4th role is where I have a little bit of leniency. I can say, oh, I want to use healing over time. I duel a lot. Oh, I want to, let's see, I'm doing a lot of competitive 3s. You want to get knockdown damage reduction. But the 3 that you need, guys, here, let me bring this over here so you can see it a little bit better. The 3 that you need, guys, is max HP, flat damage reduction, and frontal damage reduction. Now for PvE, basically very, very similar. Max HP, flat damage reduction, and enraged boss damage reduction. Those are the 3 that you're going to want on any PvE chest. If you're currently using a Schisma chest, or let's say a Roth chest, or hell, maybe even you're up to your Lucid, you have to have max HP, flat damage reduction, and enraged PvE damage reduction. Okay? So, to re-roll these, guys, once you obtain Masterwork, you're going to be using your Master Enigmatic Scrolls along with your intricate identification scrolls to basically to pop up this screen right here. Okay, pop up this screen right here whenever you put your chess piece in that you need to reroll the stats on. I actually, as you can see in this picture here, I actually don't have perfect stats on my Shizma chest piece right now. I have frontal, enraged, and max HP, which, like I said, guys, what I really want is I want base damage reduction instead of that frontal. So what I would do is I would use that Master Enigmatic Scroll, click the Enigmatic Reset that you see, and then use the Intricate Identification Scroll, and it will reroll all those stats. What you're seeing in this picture, however, that I have, let's see, what you're actually seeing in this picture that I have, though, is an ability to lock in these stats. Lock in the stats that I want. This uses Spellbind. Spellbind is a classic, you find it, you don't find it really throughout the game, but you might have, if you have elite status, you probably get some. You can find it on the trade broker, there's events, there's strongbox, locked spellbound strongboxes that you can open. Each time you lock in a specific skill, it's going to use, let's see, I think it was 16, 32, and then 68, or something along those lines, in terms of locking in these skills, to where whenever I use my Master Enigmatic Scroll and Enigmatic Reset it, it doesn't reset all the stats. It resets just the one that I did not lock in using Spellbind. Typically, you do not want to do this. You do not want to use Spellbind to reroll your stats unless you are pretty much near the very end, the end gear of it. What you usually want to do, guys, is you want to just use normal Master Enigmatic Scrolls, normal Intricate Identification Scrolls, and keep re-rolling until you get 3 of these stats. You can see on my chest piece right here that I'm trying to, or I want to re-roll. I have my skill damage that I want. I have the decrease from enraged monsters. I have the max HP. I want to re-roll this frontal, but it costs 68 Spellbind, guys. This is almost 3,000 gold per attempt to even get a different stat. And like I said, as we saw with the armor rolls, let's see. As you see with the armor rolls, there's a ton of different options, as well as more that I didn't even list on here, which it can be. So it's very expensive if you're trying to use a lot of Spellbind. So it's best just to use Master Enigmatic Scrolls and then Intricate Identification Scrolls from the General Merchant to try and get 2 or 3 of those stats. Alright. Okay. So now, we're going to move on to, that's how you roll your weapons. That's how you roll your armor. Actually, let me get also for DPS for gloves. Gloves, guys, is very, very easy because all that you need to do, guys, is this right here. Attack speed, crit factor, power. Guaranteed. That is all that you need if you are a DPS class, if you are a tank class. If you are healing, instead of power, you want healing increase. Instead of crit factor, you want endurance. Plain and simple, guys. Plain and simple. These are the 3 stats you want as a tank or a DPS. Then, on to boots. Boots is, once again, fairly straightforward. You want movement speed. If you are a PvPer, you want duration of slowing effects and typically endurance. Alright. If you are a PvEer, you can remove that duration of slowing effects for reduced chance or increasing your balance while fighting a boss monster, so you get staggered less, you get knocked down less. If you are a healer for PvP, you just want to replace these duration of slowing effects with regaining mana every 5 seconds. Okay? You just want to reduce, basically do mana instead of these slowing effects. So the slowing effects one is the one that you have a little bit of leniency towards if you want to try and roll something different. You need movement speed, you need endurance. Those are the 2 guarantees as far as boots go. So, now that we've addressed your typical armor, your weapon, your armor, your gloves, chest piece, all of that, the accessories of TERA are a little bit different. Okay, so accessories, here we go. These are all the different rolls that you can do for your jewelry and your accessories. On your ring, you can get, and these are only the ones that I recommend. Okay, these are only the ones that you should be rolling in some way, shape, or form, because there are other rolls, but they are not up to par. They are not min-maxing in the slightest on your character, and there are variations in terms of the values which you're going to find from these. So, on your ring, you can get power, crit rate, crit resist, endurance, or crit power. Crit power increases your actual critical damage. On your earring, there is stun reduction, stun duration reduction, maximum HP, crit resistance, and poison reduction. For your neck, you can get power, crit rate, endurance, or crit resist. And lastly, for your belt, you can get max HP, crit rate, power, or crit resist. Alright. So, to roll this gear, much like we saw with your standard jewelry and whatnot. Let me do this real quick. Or what we saw with your typical gear, you see it has those little rolls. It has little recycle symbols, meaning that we can re-roll these. Alright. So, but instead of using a Master Enigmatic Scroll like you would with typical jewelry or typical armor and weapons and whatnot, you actually use something called a Semi-Enigmatic Scroll. You may be familiar with these because we have a ton of them on the market right now, and they're actually fairly cheaper than they used to be because of a recent event which dropped a lot of those. Semi-Enigmatic Scrolls do not have a lock-in feature. They do not have a spellbind lock-in feature. So whenever you're trying to get these 2 perfect rolls for your ring, such as this, like on my 4-stock ring, I got 4 power and 2 power, which is pretty amazing. It's a little bit RNG. There are a lot of small variations. You could get 3 power and 1 power. You can get... for your earrings, you could get 1% max HP and 10% stun duration reduction. You could only get 4 crit resist factor and 1% max HP. So to get perfect rolls, it's actually very hard. But the things that I wanted to say as far as jewelry goes, for your rings, if you are a healer, you're going to want crit resist, which the maximum value is 10. And endurance, which the maximum value is 4. I will actually, let's see. I don't think we actually have one on. Let me see if they have perfect rolls on theirs. Or you can also utilize your maximum MP every 5 seconds instead of crit resist. So this is a PvE rolled ring right here. Max HP or maximum MP every 5 seconds and 4 endurance. That is perfect rolls. Same thing with right here. If you are PvP, you want endurance and you want 10 crit resist factor. Okay, that is you if you are PvP. What you're seeing here is for PvE. For earrings, these are perfect rolls for PvP. For every single class, these are your perfect rolls right here. 10% decreased stun duration on stun effects, and 4% max HP. These are perfect rolls. If you are PvEing, what you would actually do is, like I said earlier, there's a poison damage reduction for earrings, so you would want 4% max HP and 15% reduced poison damage reduction. Okay. For your belt, belts can, as we saw, let me see. Belts, as we saw, have max HP, crit rate, power, or crit resist. For a healer, you would want max HP. You could either double max HP, or you could do max HP crit resist, or double crit resist. For a DPS, you can kind of choose. I personally am running a double crit resist. Perfect crit rolls right here. 6 crit factor and 4 crit factor, leading to a total of 10 crit factor on my belt. This is perfect rolls if you want to go crit. You can use a mix match of power and crit. You could do 6 crit factor, 4 power, 2 power. You know, there's tons of different little mix matches, and that's why it's hard for me to fully explain the jewelry, just because you're gonna have to kind of learn it with time. For neck piece, once again, there's power, there's crit rate, there's crit resistance, and there's endurance. Most of the time, guys, you're going to be using either flat power, flat crit rate, or endurance on this. Okay, so let me see. I just wanted to show, this is, as far as chest piece goes, let's see. We did the comparison between these two here. So what you're seeing here is the difference between a PvP chest and a PvE chest. Once again, on the left side, this is your PvE. Enrage damage reduction, boss damage reduction, max HP. He has those 3, which are absolutely necessary. He has the 4th row because he has the best in slot gear, which is frontal. On the right side, we're seeing PvP. You have the max HP, you have the flat damage reduction, you have the frontal damage reduction, and then basically giving the 4th roll, since once again this is a best in, or not a best in slot piece, but last season's best in slot piece, reducing damage while knocked down. Okay, so guys, once again, just kind of a quick recap. This video was intended to hopefully give you all some guidance in terms of what you want to roll, how to masterwork all of your gear. I put quite a bit more effort into this video, which I don't know if that just made it more confusing, or if hopefully it gave you all a little bit more guidance. So main things, guys, that you want to see. These are your necessary rolls for a DPS in terms of weapon, necessary PvE, flat damage, enrage damage, behind damage. PvP, flat damage, attack speed, and highly recommended back damage. For armor, let's see. For armor, necessary PvE, max HP, flat damage reduction, enrage PvE. Necessary for PvP, max HP, flat damage reduction, frontal damage reduction. Okay. So guys, hopefully you all found this video informational. Feel free to post any questions in the comments, because I know this was a little bit longer of a video, a little bit more chaotic of a video. Let me know if you actually appreciate me putting a little bit more effort into it. I still have to do these kind of in like one recording, because I'm a editing noob. So maybe in the future I'll be able to do a little bit more efficiently stuff. So anyway, once again, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like it, make sure to share it, because I'm tired of seeing players using the improper roles or using just like completely random stuff. I just want to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page, and everyone can play their character, you know, to the potential that it has. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed my Ellen, and I'll catch y'all next time.